Alright guys, so we are still on track towards the end of the world and let's talk about the chip war today. Now we are witnessing one of the biggest tech decoupling in modern history. Chinese technology has made so much progress that Western companies they are getting outcompeted. This is horrible for US brands because the Chinese market for tech is the biggest in the world. And once you lose the Chinese market, good luck trying to get back in. Apple's China sales fell by 2.3% in the second quarter, hitting only $16 billion. However, the trend is looking really bad. Since 2022, Apple has made zero growth and they're actually losing lots of market share in 2024. Brands like Xiaomi and Oppo are edging away all iPhone sales. And if you throw in Trump's tariffs on China, it's another reason why Apple is trying to move production to India. At least that's what Tim Cook is telling Trump. Now let's make no mistake, Apple's taking a very big risk to manufacture their phones outside of China because costs will fly up. And for the US consumer, this would mean higher prices for the phones. And here's how hilarious the situation actually is. The majority of Apple suppliers are within China, mainly in the Jiangsu and the Guangdong region. Nearly 300 facilities making components for Apple products are located in the domestic supply chain itself. Only 30 suppliers are outside of China, and this includes Japan, the US, and South Korea. And input costs from all these countries are much higher versus Chinese suppliers. And this introduces a very serious problem for decision makers in Apple and any other tech firm. We have to reshore production outside of China because of Trump's crazy tariffs. But if we do that, how can we head back to the Chinese market after this? iPhone sales accounts for over 50% of Apple's revenue. Decoupling from Chinese production means the average price of your phone will increase. Sales not just to the US but around the world will also fly up. You don't have the skilled labor in mass quantities plus access to critical minerals and rare earths. All these are just going to cost more. Will Americans be ready to pay 3 grand for an iPhone? Now some might, but I can tell you many more won't, most won't. So overall sales will drop as people hang on longer to their existing handsets. They will simply refuse to upgrade. So US tech companies are facing the consequences of a China decoupling, and a company that's sweating the most is none other than Nvidia. Now, a few weeks ago, Jensen Huang flew all the way to Beijing in a suit and a tie, and the idea was simple to let the leadership know that Nvidia wants to sell into the Chinese market. And consider the horrific situation Jensen is facing. Nvidia is actually one of the most sanctioned companies in an indirect way. It's hilarious and sad at the same time. Now, Nvidia is asking Trump to remove the AI diffusion rule to allow the company to export their chips globally without restrictions. And under Trump, the world is still divided into three tiers. Only tier 1 countries, mainly the G7 and their allies, can buy as many advanced chips as they want. The rest of the world, including China, they are all in tier 2 and tier 3. So a big part of global customers are shut away from Nvidia. Here's the thing that Trump just doesn't understand. AI companies like Nvidia, they're extremely research intensive, and that means they need to funnel enormous amounts of money back to R&D. The less they earn, the more ground they will cede to the Chinese. Because unlike the US, China doesn't restrict their Huawei chip exports to the world. And with the recent Ascend 910D chip, it shows that Chinese tech is catching up. Even Jensen realizes that Huawei is about to bridge the gap.
What's your reaction to the Wall Street Journal saying Huawei is advancing to catch up to your highest level chips?
There's no question that Huawei is one of the most formidable technology companies in the world. And they're incredible in computing, they're incredible in networking technology and software capabilities, all of the essential capabilities to advance AI. And they've made enormous progress in the last several years. Whatever policy the administration puts together really should enable us to accelerate the development of AI, enable us to compete on a global stage.
In order to stay ahead, you have to have more fair competition to sell more chips to the world, including China, so that you can get more revenue and feedback for R&D. Sanctions only sounds good on paper, but we have seen them fail multiple times across many domains. Cancelling Russian oil didn't work. Blocking Chinese EVs didn't work as well. It didn't collapse BYD. Instead, it made the company the largest manufacturer of EV vehicles without ever selling into the US market. That's a very important distinction, and Nvidia realizes that hey, we need the Chinese market no matter what Washington says. The company is now working on new China tailored chips again even after the export ban, and the new chip will be ready by as soon as June. They are also working on a China Pacific version of their latest Blackwell chip. Now, it would seem unthinkable for Nvidia to give China access to more powerful chips, but if they don't do it, they will lose revenue and get locked out of the world's biggest chip market forever. And in the first 3 months of 2025, Chinese companies like ByteDance and Alibaba ordered at least $16 billion worth of Nvidia's H20 chips. That's more than half of Nvidia's typical revenue in a single quarter. So replacing Chinese demand will be quite impossible. Nvidia will be crippling their own tech progress. Now, Huawei has a lot of advantages that Nvidia lacks. The main benefit is direct access to the Chinese market, brain power, and a very efficient supply chain. Even Jensen can't deny China's progress now.
One more, like how far behind do you think China is?
China is not behind.
Are they ahead of you?
China is right behind us. I mean, we're very, very close. But remember, this is a long-term. This is an infinite race. There's no, in the world of life, there's no 2-minute end of the quarter. There's no such thing. And so we're going to compete for a long time. And just remember that this is a country with great will, and they have great technical capabilities. 50% of the world's AI researchers are Chinese, and so this is an industry that we will have to compete.
So while Nvidia is sticking straight, others are not, and we are still witnessing a desperate attempt to reshore industries when supply chains are not fleshed out yet. The funny thing is that many Americans themselves just don't want to do the work when it comes to manufacturing. People simply have the desire to produce more output without working day and night in a factory. Now, in a Cato survey, everyone seems to want manufacturing to come back. Over 80% felt that way. But when asked if they want to work in a factory themselves, less than 30% wants to do the work. So there's a very big disconnect here to reconcile. The idea of reshoring industries sounds nice, it sounds quaint, but becoming a factory worker yourself is a whole different matter. Trying to bring back industries of old, including steel and even ICE cars, might not be the best idea. In order to keep an advanced economy going, you need to keep climbing up the value chain. Now, China themselves, they went from shoes to electronics, they went from smartphones all the way to EVs, and now they're producing chips and software. Trying to go back to making steel is not the real deal. This chart tells us why Trump's reshoring plan is an exercise in futility. Since 1990, US manufacturing value added has been rising almost non-stop. During the same period, the number of industrial jobs has plummeted from 17 million down to less than 13 million. However, the conclusion is quite simple here. US industry produces higher value products at higher wages with fewer workers. And if we measure things by value added per worker, the US is number one of all the major economies, and some estimates puts it at 7 times that of China. What Trump is doing is stripping away the productive parts of the US economy, like tech and aerospace, in exchange to reshore American steel. Now, to be sure, it isn't good that steel workers and other jobs in the Rust Belt, they're all going away. But it's the sign of an economy advancing ahead. It's a symptom, but it doesn't mean that it's a crisis. Look, I hate it when anyone loses their job. It's painful, especially when you dedicated your life to it. But when you hear the words coming out of Lutnick, it's just crazy. It sounds totally insane.
And these are the kind of jobs we want. They start at 75,000, go to 150,000. These are the right jobs for our foundational employees, the people who make America great, our high school educated, hardworking, dedicated Americans. They are the foundation of America that Donald Trump is in. So the idea is encourage people to build those factories and give them the tax incentive. Don't say you have to depreciate it over 15 years. I tell you what, you come in and you come in now.
Making iPhones for $150,000 per worker, how much are iPhones just gonna cost? The cost of bringing in just the raw materials is gonna fly to the moon. It would cost a bomb. And now you want to stack a six-figure salary to every worker in the factory? Now, maintaining such a high salary is only possible if people buy your products at that price. But will people pay 5 or 10 grand a phone? I don't think so. It would just break the entire US consumer market and the economy as a whole. And in another interview, Lutnick outlined the new model for US workers. He's painting a really extreme dystopian picture. It is an industrial hellscape straight from a Blade Runner nightmare future. It's nightmare fuel.
Technicians, and these are really good paying jobs. They start at 70s, 80s, $90,000. These are trade craft. It's time to train people not to do the jobs of the past, but to do the great jobs of the future. You know, this is the new model where you work in these kind of plants for the rest of your life, and your kids work here and your grandkids work here. You know, we let the auto plants go overseas. Right now, you should see an auto plant. It's highly automated, but the people, the 4,000, 5,000 people who work there, they are trained to take care of those robotic arms. They're trained to keep the air conditioning system.
You're taking a lot of
Can people in the factory get paid 150 grand a year? Sure, that's possible, but they will be managing robots. Won't really be they themselves making the products. They will be programming and tinkering and maintaining the industrial robots and AI. It won't be a factory manned by 1,000 workers each getting a six-figure salary to turning screws and to put on all the metal casings. It just won't happen. But if it's robots, does the American worker really win? It's the robotic companies that bring home the money. And what's fun is how the solution has already been staring the US economy in the face. American manufacturing has gone up the value chain and there's simply no going back. Industrial production in the US is now concentrated in defense and space equipment as well as high-tech industries. Product mills like steel manufacturing are crashing into oblivion. And where are the new jobs being created? A ton of them are in services. Financial activities, business services like tech and transportation, they're all booming. By bringing back lower value jobs, especially through tariffs, people are going to earn less while their cost of living goes up. But the biggest consequence is the US economy losing ground against China that's becoming more high tech with each passing day. Now, everything about this tariff war is bizarre. I used to think that Besson didn't make sense, but after listening to Lutnick, Besson is actually a genius with 1,000 IQ points. Lutnick truly believes the world will bend to the US because of its deficit spending. And this time, he managed to even spin high medicine prices in the US. He's somehow trying to justify it and why having pharmaceutical tariffs makes sense, but this will only jack prices up even higher.
You all know that we're the only country that pays for drugs. We're the only one that pays for medicines. The rest of the world lives as a copay on us. I mean, think about that. When we pay $1,000, they pay $50, right? It's a copay. So the power the United States has to go bring it home. Bring your manufacturing home, because the customer and all the money that pays for you is here. All of it is here. And when you think about that for a minute, you'd say, of course they have to come build here, because all the money is here. They can't stay where they are. They don't pay any money. There's no alternative. There's nowhere else to go. We're the only country on earth that pays for medicines, pays for R&D, pays to keep the world healthy.
Normally, countries would take pride that their healthcare for people is cheap, but how Lutnick spun this around and defended higher prices is truly beyond me. It's some Twilight Zone stuff. But it does signal that the US wants to reshore anything and everything at any cost. Now, I can't wait for the reshoring of toilet paper and nail clippers. Why not set the tariff there at 1,000%? It's time to make toilet paper great again. So brace for more tariffs, and once they get imposed, don't expect them to go away. Companies that shift to the US will depend on them to stay competitive. It's going to be a one-way street. But let me know what you think. How long before China catches up to Nvidia in chips? And will we really get US manufacturing jobs at 150 grand a piece? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as we navigate through these crazy times.